Hello, dear listener. Welcome to the Dreamy Drift, a place where the worries of the day melt away, replaced by the gentle rhythm of words and the soothing cadence of a tale well told. Tonight, we embark on a journey that transcends the boundaries of the mundane and ventures into the realm of the extraordinary. Our tale tonight is one of wanderlust and homecoming, of adventure and tranquility, of solitude and companionship. It's a tale that echoes the timeless rhythm of the universe, the ebb and flow of life, the dance of the seasons, and the melody of the heart. We follow the footsteps of Thalion, a wanderer by nature, a traveler by choice, and a seeker by destiny. His journey takes him across the vast expanse of the world, through the whispering woods, over the towering mountains, and along the babbling brooks. Yet his quest is not for gold or glory, but for a place to call home, a sanctuary where his heart can find rest and his soul can find peace. In the heart of the valley, under the watchful gaze of the silver peaks, Thalion finds more than a home. He finds love in Alara, a spirit of the valley, a melody in the wind, and a whisper in the river. Their love story is as timeless as the mountains, as enduring as the river, and as beautiful as the valley. So, dear listener, sit back and relax. Let the worries of the day fade into the background. Let the rhythm of our tale soothe your spirit, and let the melody of Thalion and Alara's love fill your heart. Welcome to the tale of the wanderer's home. In the land of Erendor, where the mountains kissed the heavens and the rivers whispered ancient tales, there lived a wanderer named Thalion. Thalion, with his cloak of midnight blue and eyes that held the depth of the sea, was a traveler of great renown. Yet despite his many adventures, he yearned for a place to call home. Thalion was born under the wandering star, and the open road had been his cradle. His heart was filled with the songs of the wind, the tales of the trees, and the secrets of the wild. Yet as the years passed, a longing grew within him. He yearned for a hearth to warm his feet, a roof to shield him from the storm, and a place where he could hang his cloak at the end of the day. One day, as Thalion sat by the emerald waters of the river Neldor, an old man approached him. The man, with his silver hair flowing like a waterfall and eyes twinkling like distant stars, was known as Eldarion, the Wise. Eldarion was a seer, one who could glimpse the threads of fate. Thalion, the wanderer, Eldarion greeted, his voice as ancient as the mountains. Your heart seeks a home, a place to rest your weary feet. Thalion nodded, his gaze fixed on the dancing river. I have journeyed far and wide, Eldarion. I have seen the sunrise over the silver peaks, heard the symphony of the whispering woods, and tasted the frost of the northern wastes. Yet my heart yearns for a place to call my own. Eldarion smiled, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of ages. The road to a home is not measured in miles, Thalion. It is found in the heart. You must journey to the Heartstone, the ancient relic of Erendor. It lies hidden in the enchanted forest, guarded by the spirits of old. Touch the stone, and it will reveal the path to your true home. Thalion's eyes sparkled with newfound determination. He thanked Eldarion and set off on his quest, his heart filled with hope. The road was long and treacherous, but Thalion was undeterred. He journeyed through the verdant meadows, crossed the roaring rivers, and climbed the towering mountains. As he ventured deeper into the enchanted forest, the air grew thick with ancient magic. The trees whispered in a language long forgotten, and the wind sang of tales lost in time. Thalion felt a strange connection with the forest, as if the very heart of Erendor was pulsating around him. After days of wandering, Thalion finally stood before the Heartstone. It was an enormous crystal, pulsating with a warm, inviting light. Thalion reached out and touched the stone. A rush of images flooded his mind. A cozy cottage by a babbling brook, a roaring fireplace, a table laden with food, and a sense of peace he had never known. Thalion knew then he had found his home. With the vision of his future home etched in his mind, Thalion set forth from the enchanted forest, his heart brimming with anticipation. The path was not clear, and the journey was fraught with challenges, but Thalion was undeterred. His heart was his compass, and it led him towards his destiny. His journey took him to the foot of the Silver Peaks, mountains so high their peaks were lost in the clouds. The mountains were treacherous, their slopes steep and slippery, and their peaks shrouded in a perpetual blizzard. Yet Thalion was undeterred. He had faced many a storm in his travels, and this was but another challenge. With determination in his heart and the vision of his home in his mind, Thalion began his ascent. The wind howled around him, the snow blinded him, and the cold bit into his flesh. Yet Thalion pressed on, his spirit as unyielding as the mountains themselves. Days turned into nights, and nights into days, as Thalion climbed the Silver Peaks. His body screamed in protest, his strength waned, and his resolve faltered. Yet in his heart, the fire of his dream burned bright, pushing him forward. After what felt like an eternity, Thalion reached the summit. He stood at the top of the world, the wind whipping his cloak around him and the snow crunching under his boots. As he looked down at the world below, a sense of peace washed over him. He was one step closer to his home. From the summit, Thalion saw a valley nestled between the mountains. A river snaked through the valley, its waters sparkling in the sunlight, and a small cottage stood by the river, its chimney puffing smoke into the clear sky. Thalion's heart leaped in his chest. It was the home he had seen in his vision. With renewed vigor, Thalion descended the mountain. The descent was as treacherous as the ascent, but Thalion was careful. He navigated the slippery slopes, avoided the hidden crevices, and braved the biting cold. After days of careful trekking, Thalion finally reached the valley. As he approached the cottage, Thalion felt a sense of familiarity wash over him. The cottage was exactly as he had seen in his vision, a cozy dwelling made of stone and wood, with a thatched roof and a small garden. A brook babbled nearby, its waters clear and cool, and a fireplace roared inside the cottage, its warmth inviting. Thalion stepped inside the cottage, his heart pounding in his chest. The interior was cozy and warm, with a roaring fireplace, a wooden table laden with food, and a soft bed waiting for him. It was everything he had dreamed of, and more. As Thalion sat by the fireplace, the warmth seeping into his bones, he knew he had found his home. His journey had been long and arduous, but it had led him to this moment. Thalion, the wanderer, had finally found a place to call home. Thalion's first days in his new home were filled with a peace he had never known. He spent his days tending to the garden, fishing in the brook, and exploring the surrounding valley. The cottage, with its cozy interior and warm fireplace, was a haven from the world outside. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, Thalion began to feel a sense of loneliness. He had always been a solitary traveler, yet the silence of the valley was deafening. He missed the songs of the wind, the whispers of the trees, and the stories of the wild. His heart yearned for companionship. One day, as Thalion sat by the brook, a melody drifted through the air. It was a song as old as the mountains, as timeless as the river, and as haunting as the wind. Thalion followed the melody, his heart beating in rhythm with the song. The song led him to a grove where a maiden stood, her hair as golden as the sun, and her eyes as blue as the sky. She was singing the song, her voice as clear as the brook and as melodious as the wind. Thalion was entranced. The maiden, whose name was Elara, was a spirit of the valley. She had watched over the valley for centuries, her song a lullaby for the mountains and a symphony for the river. Elara was as much a part of the valley as the brook and the mountains. Thalion and Elara became fast friends. They spent their days exploring the valley, their nights gazing at the stars, and their hearts singing the song of the valley. Ilara's presence filled the valley with a new kind of magic, a magic that made the flowers bloom brighter, the brook babble happier, and the mountains stand taller. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, Thalion's heart began to change. He found himself looking forward to Ilara's song, to her stories of the valley, and to her laughter that echoed through the mountains. His heart, which had once yearned for a home, now yearned for Ilara. One day, as Thalion sat by the brook, he realized the truth. His home was not just the cottage or the valley, but Ilara. She was the hearth that warmed his heart, the roof that sheltered his soul, and the song that filled his life. Ilara was his home. With this realization, Thalion approached Ilara. He confessed his feelings, his voice as sincere as the brook and as steady as the mountains. Ilara, with her eyes twinkling like the stars, confessed her feelings too. Their hearts beat in rhythm, their souls sang in harmony, and their love bloomed like the flowers in the valley. In the heart of the valley, under the watchful gaze of the silver peaks, Thalion and Ilara's love blossomed. Their days were filled with laughter and joy, their nights with stories and songs, and their hearts with love. The valley, once a quiet sanctuary, was now alive with the melody of their love. Yet, as the seasons changed, so did the valley. The once verdant meadows turned golden, the babbling brook grew silent, and the silver peaks donned a cloak of white. Winter had arrived in the valley, bringing with it a chill that seeped into the bones. Thalion and Ilara, however, were undeterred. They spent their days by the roaring fireplace, their nights under the starlit sky, and their hearts warmed by their love. The winter, with its biting cold and silent nights, was but another season in their eternal love story. One day, as Thalion and Ilara sat by the fireplace, a knock echoed through the cottage. Thalion opened the door to find a stranger, his cloak dusted with snow and his eyes filled with desperation. The stranger, who introduced himself as Eoland, was a traveler lost in the winter storm. Thalion and Ilara welcomed Eolanda into their home, offering him warmth and shelter from the storm. Eolanda, grateful for their kindness, shared his tales of distant lands, of golden cities and emerald seas, and of his quest for a legendary artifact. As Eolanda spoke of his travels, Thalion felt a familiar stir in his heart. He remembered his days as a wanderer, of the open road and the endless sky, and of his quest for a home. Yet, as he looked at Ilara, her eyes reflecting the firelight and her hand in his, he knew he wouldn't trade his home for any adventure. Days turned into weeks, and Eoland became a part of their home. He helped Thalion with the chores, shared stories with Ilara, and added his own melody to the song of the valley. Yet, as the winter waned and spring approached, Eoland's restlessness grew. One day, as the first flowers of spring bloomed, Eolanda announced his departure. His quest was not over, and he had to continue his journey. Thalion and Ilara bid him farewell, their hearts heavy but their spirits high. They knew the life of a wanderer, of the longing for the road and the quest for the unknown. As Eoland disappeared into the horizon, Thalion and Ilara stood by their cottage, their hands entwined and their hearts beating as one. They had found their home in each other, in the valley, and in the melody of their love. They knew no matter the season or the visitor, their love would remain as constant as the silver peaks and as enduring as the valley. Spring bloomed in the valley, painting the meadows with a palette of vibrant colors and filling the air with the sweet scent of flowers. Thalion and Ilara reveled in the beauty of the season, their hearts echoing the melody of spring. Yet, as the days grew longer and the sun warmer, a restlessness stirred within Thalion. He found himself gazing at the horizon, his heart echoing the call of the distant lands. The wanderer within him yearned for the open road, for the thrill of the unknown, and for the tales yet untold. Ilara, with her wisdom as timeless as the valley, understood Thalion's restlessness. She knew the heart of a wanderer, of the longing for the road and the quest for the unknown. Yet she also knew the heart of Thalion, of his love for her and for their home. One day, as Thalion stood at the edge of the valley, his gaze lost in the horizon, Ilara approached him. She stood by his side, her hand finding his, and her voice breaking the silence. "Thalion, the wanderer," she began, her voice as soft as the spring breeze. "Your heart yearns for the road, for the tales of the distant lands, and for the thrill of the unknown. Yet it also yearns for home, for the peace of the valley, and for the melody of our love." Thalion turned to Ilara, his eyes reflecting the conflict within him. "I am torn, Ilara. The road calls to me, yet the thought of leaving you, of leaving our home, fills me with dread." Ilara smiled, her eyes twinkling like the stars. "Thalion, the wanderer, your journey is not over. The road is a part of you as much as the valley and I. Go, explore the distant lands, seek the tales yet untold, and quench your thirst for the unknown. I will be here, waiting for your return, singing our song to the mountains and the river." Thalion was taken aback by Ilara's words. He looked at her, at their home, and at the valley. He realized the truth in Ilara's words. He was a wanderer, and the road was a part of him. Yet, he was also a part of the valley, of their home, and of Ilara. With a newfound resolve, Thalion set forth on his journey. He ventured into the unknown, his heart filled with the thrill of the adventure, and his soul echoing the melody of his home. He knew no matter how far he traveled, he would always return to Ilara, to their home, and to the valley. As Thalion disappeared into the horizon, Ilara stood by their cottage, her heart filled with love and her voice singing their song. She knew, no matter the distance or the time, their love would remain, as constant as the silver peaks and as enduring as the valley. Thalion's journey took him to distant lands, across roaring rivers, over towering mountains, and through dense forests. He met people of different cultures, heard tales of ancient times, and experienced the vastness of the world. Yet no matter how far he traveled, his heart echoed the melody of his home. In a bustling city of gold and marble, Thalion heard tales of a dragon terrorizing a nearby village. The dragon, with its scales as hard as stone and its breath as hot as fire, had taken residence in the village as well, leaving the villagers without a source of water. Thalion, with his heart filled with courage and his spirit echoing the call of adventure, set forth to the village. He met with the villagers, heard their plight, and promised to rid them of the dragon. The villagers, grateful for Thalion's bravery, wished him luck and prayed for his safe return. Thalion approached the well, his heart steady and his resolve unwavering. He called out to the dragon, his voice echoing through the well. The dragon emerged, its scales glistening in the sunlight and its eyes burning with fire. Yet Thalion was undeterred. He spoke to the dragon, his voice as calm as the brook and as steady as the mountains. He asked the dragon to leave the well, to return to its home in the mountains, and to let the villagers live in peace. The dragon, taken aback by Thalion's bravery and kindness, agreed. It left the well, soared into the sky, and disappeared into the mountains. Thalion returned to the village, his heart filled with joy and his spirit echoing the villagers' cheers. He had not only faced a dragon, but had also solved the problem without violence. The villagers thanked Thalion, their hearts filled with gratitude and their spirits echoing their joy. As Thalion continued his journey, he carried with him the villagers' gratitude, the dragon's wisdom, and the melody of his home. He knew, no matter the challenge or the adventure, his heart would always lead him back to Ilara, to their home, and to the valley. Back in the valley, Ilara waited for Thalion's return. She tended to the garden, sang to the mountains, and whispered to the river. She missed Thalion, his laughter, his stories, and his love. Yet she knew, no matter the distance or the time, Thalion would return. As the seasons changed and the valley bloomed with the colors of spring, Ilara felt a familiar stir in the air. She looked towards the horizon, her heart echoing the melody of their love. And there, against the backdrop of the setting sun, was Thalion, his cloak billowing in the wind and his heart echoing the melody of home. Thalion's return to the valley was a moment of joy and reunion. Ilara ran into his arms, her heart echoing the melody of their love, and her eyes shining with tears of joy. Thalion held her close, his heart filled with the warmth of home, and his soul echoing the melody of the valley. Thalion shared his tales with Ilara of the golden city, of the dragon, and of the villagers. He spoke of his adventures, his challenges, and his victories. Yet, as he spoke, his tales were not of the thrill of the adventure, but of the longing for home. Ilara listened to Thalion's tales, her heart filled with pride and her eyes shining with admiration. She knew the heart of a wanderer, of the thrill of the adventure, and of the longing for the road. Yet she also knew the heart of Thalion, of his love for her, for their home, and for the valley. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, as Thalion and Ilara lived in their valley. They tended to the garden, fished in the brook, and sang to the mountains. Their love filled the valley, their melody echoed through the mountains, and their joy bubbled in the brook. Yet, as the seasons changed, so did Thalion. He found himself gazing at the horizon, his heart echoing the call of the distant lands. The wanderer within him yearned for the open road, for the thrill of the unknown, and for the tales yet untold. Ilara, with her wisdom as timeless as the valley, understood Thalion's restlessness. She knew the heart of a wanderer, of the longing for the road and the quest for the unknown. Yet, she also knew the heart of Thalion, of his love for her and for their home. One day, as Thalion stood at the edge of the valley, his gaze lost in the horizon, Ilara approached him. She stood by his side, her hand finding his, and her voice breaking the silence. "Thalion, the wanderer," she began, her voice as soft as the spring breeze. "Your heart yearns for the road, for the tales of the distant lands, and for the thrill of the unknown. Yet it also yearns for home, for the peace of the valley, and for the melody of our love." Thalion turned to Ilara, his eyes reflecting the conflict within him. "I am torn, Ilara. The road calls to me, yet the thought of leaving you, of leaving our home, fills me with dread." Ilara smiled, her eyes twinkling like the stars. "Thalion, the wanderer, your journey is not over. The road is a part of you, as much as the valley and I. Go, explore the distant lands, seek the tales yet untold, and quench your thirst for the unknown. I will be here waiting for your return, singing our song to the mountains and the river." With Ilara's words echoing in his heart, Thalion set forth on his journey. He ventured into the unknown, his heart filled with the thrill of the adventure, and his soul echoing the melody of his home. He knew no matter how far he traveled, he would always return to Ilara, to their home, and to the valley. His journey took him to the edge of the world, where the sea met the sky and the sun kissed the horizon. He met with the sea folk, heard their tales of the deep, and learned their songs of the sea. He sailed with them, his heart echoing the rhythm of the waves, and his soul filled with the melody of the sea. In the heart of the sea, Thalion encountered a storm. The waves roared, the wind howled, and the sky darkened. Yet Thalion was undeterred. He navigated the storm, his heart steady and his resolve unwavering. He knew no matter the storm or the sea, he would always return to Ilara, to their home, and to the valley. As the storm passed and the sea calmed, Thalion found an island. It was a paradise, with golden beaches, lush forests, and crystal clear waters. He met with the islanders, heard their tales of the island, and learned their songs of the land. He lived with them, his heart echoing the rhythm of the island, and his soul filled with the melody of the land. Yet, As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Thalion's heart yearned for home. He missed Ilara, the valley, and the melody of their love. He knew, no matter the island or the sea, he would always return to Ilara, to their home and to the valley. With a heavy heart, Thalion bid farewell to the islanders. He sailed away from the island, his heart filled with the melody of the sea and his soul echoing the rhythm of the waves. He knew no matter how far he sailed, he would always return to Ilara, to their home and to the valley. As Thalion returned to the valley, his heart filled with joy and his soul echoing the melody of home, he saw Ilara, her eyes twinkling like the stars and her heart echoing the rhythm of their love. He knew no matter the journey or the adventure, he would always return to Ilara, to their home and to the valley. And so, Thalion the wanderer became Thalion the homebound. His tale, like the melody of his home, echoed through the valley, carried by the wind, whispered by the trees, and sung by the river. A tale of a wanderer who sought a home and found it not in a place, but in a heart. And they lived, loving and exploring, singing and laughing, in their little valley under the silver peaks, happily ever after. And so, dear listener, we draw the curtains on our tale, a tale of a wanderer who sought a home and found it not in a place, but in a heart. A tale of a love as enduring as the valley, as constant as the silver peaks, and as beautiful as the melody that echoes through them. A tale that reminds us that no matter how far we wander, there is always a home waiting for us, a melody calling us back, and a love that endures. As we part ways tonight, may the rhythm of our tale linger in your heart. May the melody of Thalion and Ilara's love soothe your spirit, and may the peace of their valley fill your dreams. Remember, dear listener, no matter the journey or the adventure, there is always a home to return to, a love to hold on to, and a melody to guide you. Thank you for joining us on this journey at the Dreamy Drift. May your dreams be filled with adventures. May your heart echo the melody of love, and may you always find your way back home. Good night, dear listener, and sweet dreams.